Stop. What happens when your Zepbound stops getting covered by your insurance company, or your insurance company won't even cover Zepbound anymore or to begin with? Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I have lost over 103 pounds the last 2 years. I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary being on Mounjaro and Zepbound and Tirzepatide compound, the combination of those because of the shortage. And I love talking about GLP-1 medication because it took me literally Zepbound from being morbidly obese to now living happy, joyous, and free, from going in a tremendous amount of pain and guilt, shame, condemnation, to now a really happy, joyous life, and really, really active, healthy lifestyle. So let's dive in. You've got 4 choices. On today's episode, we're going to talk about, stick around for number 4. It's one no one talks about, and it very well may be the best possible option for you. Number 1, you could self-pay. If your insurance company does not cover Zepbound to begin with, so Zepbound, to give some clarification, if you're just looking and you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Zepbound is for morbidly obese people, as is WEGOVY. WEGOVY is made by Novo Nordisk. Zepbound is made by Eli Lilly. Zepbound and Mounjaro are the same thing. It's a Tirzepatide, slightly higher data than Ozempic and WEGOVY, which are the same thing. But WEGOVY is for morbid obese or chronic obesity management. Zepbound's for chronic obesity management. So now we're talking. So those are the 2 brand names today that we're going to kind of walk through as some solutions. Zepbound is higher in terms of the data and how much weight you can lose with it. A new report came out even reinforcing that, again, that Tirzepatide is a better GLP-1, but just slightly. It's still semaglutide, which is WEGOVY and Ozempic, are still amazing. You could self-pay. Now you may say, okay, Elizabeth, we know it's about $1,000 a month to pay for our Zepbound injection, so I can't afford that. I totally hear you. Who can? Not that many people. So first, you need to go look at the savings card. On Zepbound.com, Eli Lilly's website, they talk about the savings card. Are you eligible for that? So it takes it from around $1,000, $1,100 per month to, if you're new, to about $650 per month with the Zepbound savings card or Zepbound discount card. Now, I'm an OG. I've been on this medication for 2 years, so mine is $550 a month, even in the new year 2025. So that is an option, the savings card. Now, $550 or $650 a month still may not be doable for you. What I want you to do is, with your insurance company, you need to get really smart at learning the rules, which I know is maybe something you might not want to hear right today. Like, what do you mean by that? For me, for my insurance company, I know the rules. I've literally read the fine print. You know why? Because it saves me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be well informed for my specific insurance company. If you're like, well, what insurance companies do cover Zepbound? They change all the time. And that's where this is really, really confusing. If you're confused, you are not alone. We are a very confused bunch here at GLP-1 medication with insurance companies, because insurance companies keep changing the system. My insurance company, I have one of the best in the nation. I am so incredibly grateful. I have one of the best in the nation. That's going to be changing soon for me shortly, but currently I have one of the best in the nation. My insurance company does not cover Zepbound, if that says anything. That's why I pay out of pocket with self-pay. So I know the rules. I thought in 2025, the formularity of the list, meaning of what's covered by my insurance company, that Zepbound would get covered, it did not. So first, you need to go check your rules with your insurance company of what is covered with GLP-1 medication and learn that for your specific insurance company. I have insurance company, and there is 10 million different kinds of that policies within that. It's a major, major company out there. And so if someone says the name of the company, I'm like, oh my gosh. And they're like, I have coverage. And I'm like, I have that insurance company and I don't. Well, it's not the same policy thing. Like if your state, it may vary by state. So maybe you have Alabama X, Y, and Z, and I have Virginia X, Y, and Z. Those are going to be different, which is where this gets even more confusing. So we're going to put our confused hats on, but we're also going to take those off and put on our thinking caps too, because with self-pay, one, we can use a savings card. 2, brand name could be an option for you, or compounds. Brand name, I pay with a savings card $550 a month, but for new people, it's $650 a month. Check with your HSA savings, that's action item number 2, of do you have, we said savings card, do you have with your HSA or FSA insurance rules, will that help cover some of this cost for you? Would that help cover some of this cost? Once you know the HSA or FSA within your insurance company, can you do brand name or compound? Compound may be an option for you. Now, I use Join Fridays, use the discount code QUEEN. I've used them since 2023, if that gives you any encouragement. I love them. They've been so beneficial on my journey. They have great healthcare providers. You can do video chats with them. They prescribe both brand names and compounds. So I have the option. How I've maintained over the last 2 years this phenomenal weight loss, even in shortages, is because I've been able to swing easily with brand name over to compound, because my healthcare provider, of course, approved these things. I'm not making these decisions on my own. My healthcare provider with Join Fridays approved these things. And so that made it substantially easier. Now, you may say with the compound, Tirzepatide got taken off of the FDA shortage list. And so Tirzepatide is going off, like compounds for that, it's a very murky waters. Compound for semaglutide right now, meaning Wegovy, Ozempic, Wegovy, semaglutide compound are still available financially. And you can go on joinfridays.com, use the discount code QUEEN, to see the pricing for compounds, because they vary per dose. The prices do vary per dose. Join Fridays is not the cheapest out there, but by golly, they're very competitive. They have the best quality in terms of medical opinion, in my opinion. Now, obviously, there's like extenuating circumstances. Some people have different things out there that are different medical conditions, and that's going to change care, right? Like, not everybody can take GLP-1 medication. However, for I'm the common Joe, basically, like it has been phenomenal. The service I've gotten has been phenomenal. And they also have on there additional coaching, like with a dietitian, group dietitian coaching and other group coaching, because there's more emotional baggage. For me, having been morbidly obese, I need to talk to a dietitian to learn how to, like, new life skills of how to eat on a GLP-1 medication. So compound may be one of the best options for you. Number 2, if you go back over with your insurance company, because you know the rules now, this is action item number 2, you already know the rules. I gave you a ton, and hopefully you're taking notes or you're making a post-it note, or you're pausing the video to like make bullet point action items for you to go do, is a PA. If you hear the word PA, it's prior authorization. I used to be like, what's a PA? Prior authorization. PAs take time. Sad face, time. It takes time to do PAs, prior authorizations, which is what the insurance company wants, right? They're delaying you being able to get coverage for you're dealing to get coverage for your, not all insurance companies, but some. And so with that, they want to make sure, I mean, they have their rules and regulations, which I shouldn't say they're but there's rules and regulations that they have. But it does end up with delaying with the time. So with the PA, Join Fridays has an entire concierge department to help you with this. You know, I didn't do a PA before Join Fridays. I don't want to push the papers. You know how much time it takes to shuffle papers? I don't have time. I'm a busy mom. I'm a wife. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And I'm a YouTuber. I don't have time to push paper around. So Join Fridays push the paper for me because they have a concierge department. And so for you, if you're not with Join Fridays, you can go push your own paper and try to get a PA, a prior authorization. There's hoops you may need to jump through, and if you follow those rules, then hopefully that would get you the coverage for it. Going back to my situation, I had to get a PA, and Join Fridays literally spent hours, plural, for me that I didn't have to do to try to fight it. And we could have fought it a couple different ways. It ended up getting denied, and I didn't want to keep fighting it because they had said I could do WEGOVY, which is another medication. Remember the semaglutide. And I decided not to do that option. I'd rather just, for me, continue to self-pay out of pocket. But I could have had WEGOVY covered through my insurance company. So prior authorization, is that an option, and pushing the paperwork with that? Join Fridays does that. Number 3, switching, which I just alluded to, switching medications. Is that an option for you to switch your medication, going from Zepbound, Tirzepatide to Wegovy, semaglutide? It is it's the same animal, but a different animal. It's like having, so for example, we have a pit bull and we also have a Great Pyrenees for my dogs. We have 2 dogs. If you know anything about pit bulls, my one pit bull, like, they're very, very different animals. They're the same, they're a dog, but they're very different. Semaglutide and Tirzepatide are the same, like, they're both GLP-1 medication, but they are different, not very different, but different. And so you may have different things you need to talk to your healthcare provider about. For me, with my chronic obesity management, having the highest tier of GLP-1 medication, I needed that. I knew I couldn't go down because I'm already at the highest possible dose. For example, for Zepbound 15 milligrams at the highest possible dose, I don't want to stair step down. Now, if you, for example, and I'm not a healthcare provider, none of this is medical advice, simply my experience, strength, and hope for you to talk to a healthcare provider, to talk to a professional, to talk to somebody who's well educated in like medically. I have no medical training, so don't. This is my experience, strength, and hope. But if I was having, say, amazing results, I had lost the 103 pounds that I've lost right now, and I was on, I was on Zepbound, um, say, I don't know, 5 milligrams, one of the doses. I was on Zepbound 5 milligrams, and I lost all this weight on Zepbound 5 milligrams. Then I potentially would switch over to, sorry, I'm trying to pull up. My computer just completely freaked out. There's a freak out over here. I would switch from Zepbound 5 milligrams. If that's where I had lost a tremendous amount of weight, then I would maybe potentially go over to semaglutide because I could still have, remember, Tirzepatide is slightly higher data than semaglutide. So if I'm having great results at lower doses on Zepbound, perhaps then making that switch over to semaglutide makes sense. But for me, being at the highest possible dose of Zepbound, and I know that semaglutide is slightly less in terms of weight loss results, that's not going to help me. It's going to make this even harder than it already somewhat is. And so switching medication for me didn't make sense, but for you, maybe it makes sense. Maybe you're having phenomenal results on Zepbound 7.5 milligrams and switching over to semaglutide makes sense. Now, if you switch medications, you may have to start at the beginning starting dose of semaglutide. I don't know. I'm not a healthcare provider, but something to think about. There's an adjustment period that happens with switching medication. You may have different side effects. You may have blowout diarrhea. I don't know. But the four major ones are gastrointestinal diarrhea, constipation, nausea, or vomiting. Maybe you get a different one of those, or maybe you get none at all, or maybe you don't feel anything on that particular dose and you need to change. It's going to take some more higher dosing with it. I don't know. But what I do know is that is an option. And that may be a very viable option to help save thousands, plural, of dollars, or to be on these medications. Some of you don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear it either. Trust me. So I say you, but I mean me. I don't want to hear there's other lower medications. So it goes Tirzepatide, semaglutide. There's other GLP-1s under that are covered by your insurance. They may not get you the same results. It may be substantially harder. And so that's something to think about. Your insurance may cover some of these ones that are not semaglutide, not Tirzepatide, not WEGOVY, not Zepbound, but do have coverage. Something is better than nothing. And so maybe that is a stone to turn over. And maybe getting on the highest dose of those lower ones. That's something to talk to your healthcare provider about, in addition with your insurance company. Number 4, this is one, it's not really talked about at all. But I think it's one that may, for some of you, make the best sense. And it's the route that we took. My husband and I thoughtfully 2 years ago, before I started taking Mounjaro at the time, Zepbound wasn't even a thing. It was one of the pioneers 2 years ago. People would chastise and throw stones and be like, you're going to have 5 heads. Like, there's a reputable doctor on YouTube, I'll never forget, who was throwing stones at GLP-1 medication. I'm curious to see if his tone has turned around. We'll see. Anyways, I digress. So revamping your finances, that was what we did. Before I went on GLP-1 medication, I knew I would pay out of pocket, and I told my husband, we're going to revamp our finances. I'm not going to get off this medication. I'm probably going to be on it for the rest of my life. So how do we afford an extra $1,000 a month? Literally a part-time job paying for this medication. And we got really smart and put on our thinking caps to figure this out. 1, you can increase your income, or 2, you can decrease your expenses, or 3, you can do both of those. And we opted for door number 3, increase our income, decrease our expenses. What can you do to do one of those to afford? And if you use the savings card, I'm using Zepbound because that's an easy example for me. Zepbound $650 a month for new people. Compounds, maybe 300-ish a month, maybe 200 some a month. You got to go look on Join Fridays for their pricing for semaglutide. People ask me what compound pharmacy I recommend. Join Fridays, use the discount code Queen. That's the one, because I've used it. I've used it. So I have experience, strength, and hope I don't have in these other places. I know Join Fridays, and they've been amazing since 2023. So revamping finances, where can you make more money? Where can you cut expenses? And literally in general, and I know many of you are like, I'm literally penny to penny each month. And then that's where I'd say you got to get creative. right? I've owned 3 businesses, all multi-million-dollar companies started from scratch. I've had a couple of failures in there too. It hasn't all been rainbows and butterflies, trust me. But within there is some success within the business world. And so if I was coaching a business client, I would say get ruthless about figuring out where you can increase your income with a side hustle that's easy for you. I have a kid. If I didn't have the skill set that I do, I would resell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I would do DoorDash. I would do Instacart. I would do stuff like that where my kid could come with me. That's what I would do. I also flipping and reselling stuff. So I could do eBay and do it from my home and have my kid here, like stuff like that. One of our group members in my free encouragement group donates platelets, something along, I'm saying platelets, but something along those lines, but it's in the medical field. She makes donations and she gets paid for it. I'm like, you are amazing. And that's how she's revamped her finances to pay for her Zepbound. Cutting expenses. We found, and I talked about this on another video, that a study was done for people who are at a higher income bracket, but keeping this in mind, decrease their grocery costs by 9%. For me, it was 10 to 11%. But just thinking about your food costs and your budget, does that then factor in for the price of this? You see what I'm saying? Like we're moving things around. If you're eating less, you're paying less for groceries, right? Like, but then the counter to that is I wanted more high quality food within our food budget. So some things to think about too. But literally eating less, I don't pay as much. Our grocery bill definitely has gone down thousands of dollars in the last 2 years. So, and this is the other thing too with revamping finances, the cost benefit analysis of pay now or pay later. I'm going to pay in the future with being morbidly obese. I wanted to show you guys my before and after picture, but it just went away. Where did it go? But the payment of staying the same and not being, here's another one, not being able to, paying out of, that's a lot for being morbidly obese. Diabetes, heart attacks, cancers. I mean, let's keep going with all the associated diseases that are associated with morbid obesity and having horrific blood panels. My type 2 diabetes brothers and sisters out there, like my grandmother had part of her leg cut off from morbid obesity. So the cost of that versus this, okay, I'm going to figure it out. Like I'm going to figure it out. And that sucks, but I'm going to figure it out. This is the cards that I've been dealt with. I'm going to figure it out. That's my personality style. I know some people aren't like that, and I understand and I appreciate that very much. We're all made differently, and that's a beautiful thing to be. But I told my husband 2 years ago, oh, we're going to figure out how to pay for this. I don't know how, but we're going to figure out how to add this in. We literally revamped our finances. And from that revamping of our finances, also, we figured out how to change our 401k and our IRAs and like our retirement plans, because I'm going to live longer. And statistically speaking, women live longer than men. And statistically speaking, if I bought back another 20 years of my life because I'm not morbidly obese and I'm in way better health, I'm going to live a lot longer. So I'm going to need more money for that too. So you see what I'm saying? Like revamping our finances, revamping our finances, revamping our finances. That's number 4. No one really talks about that, but truly that's what my husband and I did. We come from a business background, so it naturally made sense to start making treating the health payments as business. You know what I mean? Like figuring that out for us very much made sense of the cost benefit analysis of it. Either increasing income, decreasing expenses, or doing all 3 and getting really good at it. And then it made these now I'm like, oh, I just got to go refill after this video. I'm going to go get my prescription. Y'all, I drive 45 minutes there, 45 minutes home. It's an hour and a half out of my way to pick up my prescription every 23 days. But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, but also I'd like to have this shipped to my house eventually. And one day we'll get there. But for my brand name, I have to go pick it up at the pharmacy. Many of you have mail order delivery systems. And that's an option for some of you with your insurance companies too. I'm just not there yet, but I will be. And with the Zepbound shortage, although the FDA has said there's not a Zepbound shortage anymore. Wink, wink, not judge. I haven't been experiencing the Zepbound shortage. People in my group have, because there's thousands of people in there, so I can see. That's an awesome group, by the way. It's in the description link below, as is all my links today that I've talked about. But I haven't experienced this shortage, but that may be an option, having mail order delivery. And that's something I'm going to look at in 2025 of how much am I able to do it more easily through mail order delivery. I don't know. I hope so. But the pharmacy that I use is amazing, and they always have it in stock. So one time they did. It's been how many months now? 5 months now. They've been on it. So I hope that this helps give some pathways. This list of 4 things is not an all-encompassing list, but certainly it's a roadmap to get you started, to get you going, to get you where you need to go of figuring out, are you going to self-pay? Are you going to fight it with a PA, a prior authorization with your insurance company? Are you going to switch medications, or are you going to revamp your finances to go back to self-pay? It's a matter of doing, you know what I mean? Like things, and this is the other thing that I think is really important to say, because I told you earlier it's confusing. It's also very frustrating in this journey. If you're frustrated, so am I. And so recognizing and going back to the serenity prayer of things I can change, things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. I can't control insurance companies. I can't control the prior authorizations. I can control my input for those. I can control my input on certain activities, but I can't control the rest of the stuff. And so I am but just an ant in the scheme of things in life, right? And so things I can control and things I can't. I can control that I'm wearing my Bluey's Valentine's Day shirt, and that makes me really happy. And I'm gonna go pick up my prescription, and I'm gonna go lift after this, and I'm gonna go get my 10,000 steps in for the day. And like, those are things, I'm gonna eat high protein today. I'm gonna say my prayers and focus in on gratitude, because that makes my mood better, and that lowers my endorphins, and lowers my stress, and having less stress makes you lose more weight. And so trying to live a balanced lifestyle. And so to wrap that all together, like, we can only do what we can do. You're doing the best you can. I'm doing the best I can. And I think that that's all we can ask, right? Like, it's all we can ask. So I love you guys so super much. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. If you've made it this far in the video, your accountability question is, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? And number two, we have an emoji of the day. Our emoji of the day in honor of Join Fridays and in honor of Bluey is hearts. I got my little hearts here. They've been sitting here the whole time. Hearts, that tells me that you made it this far in the video. It's my bat signal to pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, uplift you in positive thought. But it tells me you made it this far in the video. And if you made it this far in the video, I want to know you. Our community, YouTube tells me, community spotlight members in our community. And I know some of you get so upset when you're like, I'm not on the list. This is just where a random snapshot right now that YouTube is telling me. But beautiful Mindy, beautiful Connie, Daba, Sunshine, Karma, Thelma. I love you guys so super much. You guys were on the list for the weekly highlight of your most engaged audience members and your top commenters. So your comments, I may not respond to all of them, but I do see them. And I love you guys so super much. If you have noticed YouTube Shorts recently, I've been doing, and I'm going to start doing more of those. Some of you have asked for shorter content, like quick snippets. So if you see those, I'm not stopping doing long format content. I will always have a daily show. I mean, I don't like to use superlatives saying always, but for 2025, I'll do a daily show like I did in 2024. Daily shows of 20 to 30 minute shows, they're not going away. I'm doing more. I'm doing more because I love YouTube so much. And in lieu of all that's happening with TikTok and all this stuff, I'm here on YouTube. Like, this is my jam. My free Facebook group is my jam. Countess of Shopping Instagram is my jam. CountessofShopping.com. You're seeing more and more blog posts come out. And my free weekly email, if you are not on it, you need to sign up. It's down on CountessofShopping.com. Any of my blogs, the email pops up. This week I'll be announcing when the next live show is. So if you're not on my email list, on Monday I'm going to be announcing it. You might want to sign up between now and Monday, because that email will go out and it'll be an exclusive. There's going to be some exclusivity with people on the email list for that live show. Put your emoji of the day down below. Tell me your accountability question, and make sure if you're not in the free group, you are. And if you're not on my email list, make sure you are too. You get emails, encouragement emails. It's a newsletter on Mondays and Thursdays. So helps to keep our brain sharp. My sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings, because life is delicious. Go to Join Fridays and use that discount code QUEEN if you're switching over. Love you guys. Bye.